Welcome to Daily Phrasal Verbs with Chris and Mary Coase. Today we're talking about two phrasal verbs that are opposite. The first phrasal verb is pick up, and the second phrasal verb is drop off. Now, why do I say that they're opposite? It is kind of confusing because these phrasal verbs have different meanings, especially pick up. It has a lot of meanings. But usually when we're talking about pick up or drop off, we're speaking about cars or vehicles in general, some kind of transportation. Let's imagine you're standing at your house and you need to go to school. Your friend picks you up in his car. That means he drives to your house, you get in his car, and then you drive together somewhere. The important part about pick up is that he picks you up from a place. He picked you up from your house. Drop off describes the place that you leave the vehicle. We can drop someone off at a location. So we can say, he dropped you off at school. Now, if we say he dropped you off at school, this means that he did not go to school with you. You ride with him in the car or vehicle, you arrive at school, you exit the vehicle, and he continues driving to another location. This is drop off. Now let's go back because I said pick up has a lot of different meanings. So in this video, I'm only going to tell you several of them because there are too many to describe. Pick up can also mean to answer the phone. I called, but he didn't pick up. Pick up can also mean to find someone in a place, speak to them, and try to take them to another place with you. For example, he picked up two girls at the bar. Pick up can also mean to start from the middle. When we sat down at our desks, the teachers told us that we would pick up where we had stopped the previous lesson. Pick up can also mean to learn something. For example, Brian picks up new languages really quickly. So as you can see, pick up has a lot of different meanings. Drop off also has another meaning. Maybe there's a place in the music where the music becomes quieter. We can say that the music dropped off. Basically, something ended. I hope that helps you understand pick up and drop off. They're kind of difficult. Set off. To set off usually means when we go on a trip or a journey. When we talk about the characters of a story, we might say they set off on their journey or they set off on their trip. Set off marks the beginning of the trip, and it shows that these people are leaving one place and continuing on a journey to another place. Another similar phrasal verb is to ship out. Now, ship out isn't only about ships. Ship out is about leaving a place, usually for a job. To check in and to check out. To check in usually is about registering somewhere. So for example, you get to the airport and you need to check in. They even might have a check-in desk or a check-in counter. To check in basically means to tell someone that you are there or that you're ready. You might also check in at a hotel. Logically, check out is the opposite. You tell someone that you are leaving or that you're ready to leave. So if you're leaving a hotel, you can say, I'm checking out of room 204. Check out also has another meaning. Check out means to try something and to see if you like it or to see if it's good. Or sometimes we use check out just to mean something like look or try. So we might say, check out my videos on YouTube. Check out what Mike did, and a lot of other phrases. If we're at a shop, we could also use check out like pay. So if you're walking around the supermarket, you get all of the food that you want, and you go to pay, you can say that you are going to check out. You're standing in line at checkout. I hope that helps you understand check in and check out. To get around. It actually has several different meanings. The first one we're going to talk about is about transport and traveling. Get around describes a usual method of movement in a city or in a general area. How do you get around? I usually get around by car. If I want to travel to a different city or country, I travel by plane. But I don't do it regularly, so I can't say that I get around by plane. When we say get around, it describes how you move regularly, as a routine. We might also use it to describe how easy it is to travel in a certain city, maybe a city that we're not from. We might say, it's much easier to get around in Moscow than it is in Chicago. Another meaning of get around is the verb to get around something or someone. This means that you don't need to follow what this person tells you or follow what a rule or law says. We might say, you need to complete 20 hours before you can get this certificate, but I got around the 20 hours. It means that I did something and found a way to not do the 20 hours and still get what I wanted. to get away. And we're going to talk about two meanings. The first one you probably already know. Get away is like go away, or leave the place that I'm at. The difference between get away and go away is just that get sounds more urgent. You need to move now. She was crying and I tried to hug her, but she told me to get away. Another meaning that this verb has is to travel away from the place that you are usually at. For example, your house or your hometown. We might say, I see the same people every day. I really need to get away. This means I need to travel. I need to go somewhere new and see something new and do something new. Do you need to get away? Leave me a comment below the video. Don't forget to press like, press subscribe, to drop, to stop, and to come. The particles are by, in, and through. So we could say to drop by or to drop in. They both mean to stop in a place unexpectedly or to visit someone unplanned. Could also say stop by, stop in, or stop through, like to visit a place in an unplanned way, and usually for a short period of time. You could also say to come by or to come through. All of these verbs that we just talked about mean to stop in a place, to visit a place, or maybe even just to visit a person, unexpectedly, unplanned, and for a short period of time. So thanks for dropping by my channel, and I hope you stop by tomorrow to see the next video. To hear of something. Now, sometimes people ask us if we know a famous person, or a famous music group, an actor, you know, a celebrity. And when they ask us about this, they might say, hey, do you know Brad Pitt? And you can say, I don't know him personally, but I've heard of him. Here we use the phrasal verb to hear of someone, or to hear of something. It means that we know about it, but we don't have any personal relationship with it. We're not really connected to this thing, but we have some information about it. Have you ever heard of Atlantis? Probably you have. In this example, we ask if you have any knowledge about the place called Atlantis. But we're not asking if you know it personally or if you have some specific details. Just you know that it exists. We use this phrasal verb a lot when we talk about music groups. You know the Beatles, right? No, but I've heard of them. In this case, the person doesn't know who the Beatles are, but they've heard the name the Beatles before. When we want to say this, we should use the phrasal verb to hear of something. To meet up. Now, a lot of times with phrasal verbs, people say, Chris, why can't I just say meet? And the answer is you can. A lot of phrasal verbs add the particle up to a verb to give it a small extra meaning. Sometimes this means that we need to start doing something or do something faster, and in other situations it means something different. The phrasal verb to meet up is really the same as to meet, but the verb to meet can be a little confusing. To meet could be the first time when you meet someone, or it could be just a meeting. Meet could also describe when two people come to the same place at the same time, but maybe don't have a meeting there. They just meet there. So yeah, it's confusing to know if we're meeting someone the first time or if we've already met them and we're just meeting them. The phrasal verb to meet up helps us with this. To meet up only means that we already know the person and we're meeting them for a meeting or we're meeting them at a place, not the first time. So it's wrong to say, I met up John last night. Instead, we should say, I met John last night, because it's the first time. If I'm just talking about meeting at a place, then I can say, hey, let's meet up at Starbucks. Or, we met up yesterday. Or, let me know when you can meet up. To see someone off. Now you might be asking, when can I use this phrasal verb? Well, we actually use it a lot. To see someone off means to go with them when they leave. It doesn't mean you travel with them, it means you go with them until the moment that they leave. So for example, if your friend is leaving the party and he's walking to his car to drive home, you can say, I'll walk with you and see you off. It means, I will go to the car with you and I will say bye when you leave. Some people go to the airport to see their friends off. What about in your country? Do you have a tradition to see someone off when they're leaving? Do you see everyone off or only some people? Write a comment below this video and let me know. To rent out. and we're going to compare it to the verb to rent. So probably you know what rent means. Rent is when you give someone money and you get to live in their house or their apartment, or maybe you rent an office, you pay money and you get to use their office, but you don't own it. You only rent it. But how can we understand what the person who owns the property does when he gives this property to someone to use, and what the other person does when they pay money to use this property? So to help understand this difference, we have two different verbs that we can use. If we say rent, for example, I rent this apartment, then this means I pay money and I use this apartment. If I say I rent out this apartment, this means that I own the apartment and I collect money for other people using it. We might also just use this verb about the property itself. For example, this apartment has been rented out for a long time. This means somebody is collecting money for another person to use the apartment. To pass by. Now you probably know what pass means. Well, there's a lot of meanings of pass. In this context, pass means to move further than something else. So for example, if you're trying to go to the store or to a shop and you walk further than the distance you need for the shop, you can say, I passed it by. I passed by the shop. So for example, the shop is here and you go, you passed by the shop. You didn't go in the shop, you went by the shop. You passed it by. Passed by can mean a lot of different situations. When we see something, but we don't go directly to it, we go past this thing. This action is to pass by. We could also use pass by to mean that we didn't select something. For example, I was next in line, but they passed me by. It means something like they skipped me. To touch down. Now, usually when you hear the word touchdown, it's going to be a noun. It describes something that happens in American football. When a team scores in American football, we don't call this a goal, we call it a touchdown. However, touchdown also has another meaning. To touch down is a verb, and to touch down means to land, or to first arrive in a place. So just imagine that you're flying to a new place, and when you arrive, you need to touch the ground with your feet, or with the airplane, or however you enter this country. First, you're going to physically touch the ground. So when you do this, we can say, hey, I just touched down in Moscow. And this means I just landed or I just arrived. We might also use this to describe something in the past, from history. For example, what year did the Pilgrims touch down? Or when did Neil Armstrong touch down on the moon? But remember, this usually describes the first landing or first arrival. So even though Neil Armstrong landed on the moon and then he got out of his spaceship and walked on the moon, the touchdown would describe when the spaceship landed on the moon, not when he walked on the moon, because his spaceship landed first. It touched down. To turn out, or to end up. Now, both turn out and end up describe the result of something. Usually when the result is different than what we expected. So for example, we could say, I was so excited to go to the concert, but it turned out to be terrible. So this means that the result of the concert was terrible, and this is different from what I expected. If we see someone making something or working on something, and they look stressed or nervous, we can tell them, I'm sure it will turn out fine, which basically means everything will be okay. We might also ask this as a question. For example, your friend just took an exam, and you ask, how did it turn out? Like, how did it go? Or how was it? What was the result? And we might tell someone to talk to us later and tell us the result of something. We might say, call me tomorrow and let me know how it turns out. End up also describes a result very similar to turn out. For example, I was excited about the concert, but it ended up being a terrible concert. However, in many situations when we use end up, it describes that we had no other options or no other choice. For example, I wanted to go to the party with Mary, but I ended up going with Susan. This means I didn't want to go with Susan, but it was my only choice, or it was my last choice. We might also use end up to describe how a person's life changes. So there might be a television program about all of the pop stars from 2 or 3 decades ago and where they ended up, or where life took them. I hope that helps you understand turn out and end up. Thanks for watching Daily Phrasal Verbs with Chris and Mary Coase. Don't forget to press like, press subscribe, and leave a comment down below.